Greetings and welcome to LA Quill. Today we're diving into Chapter 7 of Arianna's tale. The sun was just beginning its descent by the time Arianna finished gathering the herbs she needed to restock her herb box. She would need to hurry if she was going to make it back to her cottage before nightfall. She hadn't always been afraid to be out after dark. Until that night 10 weeks ago, she had loved the darkness. She had reveled in the solitude, in the sense that all was right with the world, a sense that only came once night had fallen and most of the world was asleep. But that was before, and Arianna no longer loved the night. Now she feared what the darkness would bring. Darkness had once brought her the most horrifying night of her life, and she would never again feel as if the night were her friend. She mourned the loss of that part of herself and knew that the stranger was to blame. Hurrying down the path, Arianna tried to turn her thoughts away from that night. It was difficult to ignore what had happened, however, with the constant reminder that she had been left with. She placed her free hand on her belly, fighting back tears and contemplating her current predicament. She had been in denial for the first several weeks after the night the stranger had raped her, even though she was a healer and should have known better than to refute such a thing. Finally, 2 weeks ago, it had been impossible to deny. She was carrying the child of her rapist. Once she finally admitted it, she had fallen onto her bed and cried for candle marks. Now she was left with a choice: abort the baby or raise it without a father. She shook her head, knowing that she could never harm her baby. Arianna was young and strong and perfectly capable of having a child. Now 17, Arianna had hoped to be a little older before having her first child, but that option had been taken from her. She knew that she could raise the baby alone if she had to. She already loved him or her more than anything, and would do whatever was necessary to protect her unborn child. But she also knew that she couldn't stay in Icana Valley. Soon everyone would notice her expanding figure despite the concealing clothing she wore, and the comments would start. She would be branded a harlot. She would have to leave her precious village and go elsewhere regardless of what she really wanted to do. Perhaps she could claim that the father, whom she would label as her husband, had been killed at sea. It might work if she left her village and settled in a new town with new people. It was a common enough occurrence, losing men to the sea, especially now. The child's father had come from the sea, so it would be an easy matter to claim that he had been taken by the sea. Just thinking of the baby's father made her heart ache in so many different ways. She had this daydream where he returned to her. In her dream, he apologized profusely, admitted his undying love for her while on his knees begging for her forgiveness, and promised to spend the rest of his life serving her, worshipping her. And, of course, he was a member of the aristocracy, a duke, perhaps, and he married her and made her his duchess. She sighed. It was too bad that it wasn't a prophetic dream. It was only a simple girl's fantasy, and fantasies wouldn't help her now. Arianna made a quick decision just as she came to her small cottage. She would go to Sitha and search out her brother, who still hadn't made an appearance despite his apparent desire to visit her. She would ask for Darian's protection, demand it even. He owed her that much, and he would never turn her away. Besides, she was his sister, and she had no other male relatives, so it was his job to protect her and his alone. She would pester him endlessly until he agreed to help her, begging him on her knees if she had to. She entered her dimly lit cottage, feeling only partly safe. Arianna moved around the cottage, lighting as many candles as she could find. The light made her feel better, though she still didn't feel wholly secure. She needed to leave Icana Valley, if only to feel safe again. It wouldn't be easy for her to leave the only home she'd ever known, but it was the only truly feasible choice left to her. She realized the truth of that statement now. Laying out the freshly picked herbs to dry, she quickly sought her bed, knowing that she'd need her strength in the days to come. Arianna woke slowly, raising her head from the pillow just as the sun made its appearance over the horizon, sensing that something was wrong. Usually she was awakened by the thrilling of birds outside her window as the village came alive for the day. Not today. Today everything was quiet, reminding her of the calm before the village was hit with an ocean storm. She rose quickly, not even bothering to dress, knowing that if a storm was coming it would likely be accompanied by high winds. She'd better cover her herb garden. As she exited the cottage, she could smell something on the air coming from the distant village almost a mile away. Smoke, she thought. Probably an accident at the baker's or maybe the blacksmith's. I'd better be ready for any injuries. At least this gave her something to do other than brood on her situation. Down in the village, the fires producing the smoke that Arianna had seen were hardly accidents. Damek sat astride his black stallion, Spyro, surveying the destruction, his eyes like ice. The village had fallen easily enough with no one to defend it. Few of the residents had died, none of his own men, and the survivors were being chained and prepared for transport back to the Empire. One of his men rode up beside him, interrupting his thoughts. "That's everyone, Your Highness. We'll raise every building as well as the crops, and we're rounding up the livestock to take with us." He hesitated, having heard the rumors about the reason for this particular raid. There might be one small house left, off in the woods a bit. Talk of a healer, a woman. She's young, apparently, and doesn't come into town if she doesn't have to. Damek nodded, his gaze elsewhere. "I know, Commander Myron. She's almost a mile out of town, back toward the fork in the river. It's the reason I brought us in from the north." Damek hadn't wanted Arianna to know he was anywhere near. Not just yet. He adjusted his sword and prepared to ride out to find her. His blood ran hot just thinking of her, and he shifted in the saddle, anxious to get to her. "I'll secure a small group of men to accompany us, sire." Myron wheeled his horse to do just that, but his mount had managed only a few steps before being stopped by Damek's sharp command. "Hold!" He rode closer to the commander and lowered his voice. "This one I will take care of myself. Finish here, and then hold position until I return. Do not approach the healer's cottage, not under any circumstances." "Sire!" Commander Myron saluted and rode off to complete his task like the good soldier he was. Prince Damek rode quickly, but dismounted before he was within earshot of the cottage. He entered her small clearing quietly. As he approached the cottage, he could hear her through the open windows reciting a recipe under her breath, as he had noticed she did when preparing remedies. If she was at her workbench, her back would be to the door, which was almost as perfect as finding her in bed. His eyes started to glitter in anticipation. He removed his sword and let it rest against the side of the cottage. He wouldn't need it for this next task, and seeing it would only frighten the girl more. He opened the door slowly. Even the sun cooperated this time of day, since she wouldn't be able to see his shadow as he approached. Damek saw her bent over her herbs, wearing only her thin nightgown. He smiled at the vision she presented just before he grabbed her from behind. Arianna screamed, terrified, as strong arms surrounded her. She was quickly spun around and came face to face with the one man who had haunted her nightmares and her dreams these past weeks. "You!" she screamed. She struggled, not caring about herself in that moment. She must have taken him by surprise with her struggles because she was momentarily free. Ari rushed for her herb knife, determined to fight him off this time with any weapon at her disposal. She'd die before she let him touch her again. Besides, she had a baby to protect now. Damek reached the small knife first, of course. He was faster and he had longer arms, so it wasn't even a contest. He was surprised by her audacity. He threw the herb knife to the floor, grabbed Arianna from behind, and squeezed until she couldn't breathe. She stopped struggling immediately and slowly went limp in his arms. She was gasping for breath by the time he relaxed his hold. Damek smiled into her blonde hair. "That's better." She smelled of lavender and vanilla, thoroughly intoxicating. He started towards her small bedchamber, though this time he resolved to be a bit more gentle. He didn't want to hurt her, but she was about to learn her place. No! Arianna screamed, ready to renew her struggle with all the energy she had left. Not again! I won't! Her protests were in vain, as she quickly realized. He was larger and stronger and knew exactly how to use that to his advantage. Within moments, he had her in her own bed and he was above her once again. This time, however, he had decided to take his time. For all that he wanted her, he certainly didn't enjoy her struggles. Damek once again used glowing bonds of blue magic to restrain Arianna so that she ended up with her hands above her head, feet securely attached to the bedposts at the end of the bed. Now, having heard his mercy, he laid down beside her, supporting himself on one elbow. Arianna spat in his face and he retaliated by slapping her, though not as hard as he could have. He reached out to touch her face and she tried to bite him, which earned her yet another slap. Quickly realizing that fighting him wasn't going to work, she changed her tactics. Please, she begged, trembling violently. Please don't do this. She was trying desperately to keep from sounding panicked. When he drew his dagger, however, that attempt failed. I'll do whatever you want, just stop. He smiled softly and began to cut away her nightgown with practiced ease. I think you've missed the point, girl. He will do whatever I want, and I will not stop. Arianna swallowed hard, not sure what to say to that. She wanted to struggle again, but with the knife so close to her skin, she was afraid that he would cut her if she so much as sneezed. He slowly moved the knife between her breasts, and it cut through the delicate material of her nightgown easily. Her wide eyes never left the blade as it gleamed in the morning light. Please, she said again. She was almost afraid to breathe. No, Damek said simply as he moved the knife towards her feet. She felt the tip of the knife against her belly, and with a quick slash he cut the fabric between her legs all the way to her ankles. Coming up on his knees, he straddled the girl as she closed her eyes against him. He pushed the nightgown aside and looked his fill of her. Her breasts were perfectly shaped and seemed slightly larger than before. He touched one gently and she flinched away, but he ignored her movements, his attention caught by something else. He had spent the better part of a month studying her, almost obsessively, as he recovered from his time spent in the ocean, and she seemed different somehow. It wasn't just her breasts, though there was a decided difference in their feel. Her belly, which he remembered as concaved, was now less so. He moved his hand to her belly, evaluating every inch of her fragile skin. Her figure was still absolute perfection, except, with sudden suspicion rising in his mind, he placed his right hand on her pelvis and began his probe. Arianna's life force was strong and bright, glowing like a beacon in the darkest night. It almost concealed her secret. Almost. He jerked his hand away as if he'd been burned. You're pregnant, he accused. She turned her head away, but Damek grabbed her chin and forced her to look at him. Is it mine? He demanded, refusing to release her until he had an answer. That made Arianna angry. No, it's not yours. You raped me, and so I decided to turn the harlot. That's what you think, isn't it? That since I was no longer a virgin, it didn't matter who I was with? She jerked against the bonds that held her. You... Before she could come up with an insult good enough for him, he slapped her, hard. Damek leaned down against Arianna as she whimpered in pain, pressing her naked body into the mattress. He eased off her just a bit, enough so that she wasn't in obvious pain. His next words came out a growl. I want a straight answer from you. I know you were a virgin when I took you. What I want to know is, was there anyone after me? Answer me. Arianna met his eyes, wondering what to think. Her answer seemed very important to him, and she wasn't certain why. There was a strange feeling rising up inside her. She firmly locked it away, deciding not to examine her emotions right now. Looking away, desperate not to meet his eyes, she whispered, It's yours. Then she started to cry. And that's our tale from L.A. Quill today. If you enjoyed this chapter, let me know your favorite moment in the comments below. Until next time, may your stories always be magical.